Final selection, boys.
Sydney for me.
West Coast for me.
Oh, it's all set up, isn't it, from the SCG? Enjoy your afternoon watching the combat in action of the tap down. And it came Parker's way. Sends them inside 50. Clears the pack. McGovern was so dominant last week. Papley had a quiet one. And that almost crept in.
Big start. That's pure out of the middle. Tap down. Big clearance. Front and square. You can't ask for much when it comes to the first centre bounce of the game, except that going through the goal is the only other thing. Look at Hearn going straight down the middle here, the shortest way home.
Wouldn't Papley love to have dobbed that one after just 5 disposals last week? He's been outstanding for them so far this year on debut. And there he is again on the frame, right in the middle. He takes the mark from the jack kick. And they've kept the ball on their terms so far.
Watching McVeigh as well in that first centre bounce. He went up to Jetta, shook his hand, and then gave him a nice whack afterwards.
Interesting to see Hearn go long down the middle. You can see the ball hold up in the breeze. There's no doubt that Sydney have the advantage of the breeze, although it can swirl here.
Well, Hutto, just before that, Jetta was running through and the whole forward line of Sydney ran through him and knocked him around.
Here's young Tom Papley. It's gone hard left.
Well, it's disappointing for him. 2 opportunities.
Yeah.
A left foot snap that hit the post. And now a set shot for it. Obviously wasn't comfortable with the range. That's a good change of direction. And a good early touch for Jetta.
So he takes it, sees Hill. Comes into his line of vision. Kennedy and Grundy about to kick it a bit ahead. Now they're in the range, and Kennedy coming up to the ball. Grundy trailing him in.
Great kick, and that's what they've got to do. They've got to kick the ball well, West Coast this afternoon.
That's not a good kick.
Yeah,
That's not. See, that's what we're talking about. You've got Jetta with the pure kick out of defence. You've got Hill with the beauty up to half forward. The next one has to be just as good, which is the most important one, inside forward 50.
Ted Richards calling on Dane Rampy to come back and get on Jack Darling.
It's interesting because I thought Richards might have been the one that played that role, but he's now going to Lacroix.
Well, Darling is in outstanding form after not having a pre-season last year. Really felt it as the year went on. Didn't really ever hit his straps. As good a player as he is, but this year's a different story. McVeigh takes it and keeps on coming. Just the automatic play on, and you can see the rewards of that.
Oh, got Sinclair long.
And Franklin, he decided to go it alone.
Oh, Callum Sinclair had run down the far side of the corridor. He was all on his own heading to the goal square. And unfortunately, the ball was trapped on the other side and they didn't see him.
There he is, Moons' boy.
If he sees his old man, he'll apologise to him again.
Move it on now. Play on. There's no hiding it now. McGovern kicks the half back, and Schofield read the swirling nature of the kick.
I was hoping to just let that slide under the carpet.
Not a chance with mates like us, Moose. The kick goes back to the wing. Oh, it's about 3 Swans coming in, and Hill has earned the free. Callum Mills standing the mark. Both he and Heaney so exciting for the Swans.
Like the foot skills earlier of the West Coast Eagles, they're hitting targets. It's been impressive in the conditions.
Gaff fresh from 33 disposals last week. Nananui in front, tip it from behind. Darling. Kieran Jack as busy as you like. Marston got it to Pritis, and here's Kennedy in the focus. Oh. Goes to ground, the ball curling back towards goal.
That's a good, honest battle between a couple of heavyweights.
Just strength here. Strength by Kennedy to hold his feet there to push back onto him.
Dangerous kick in, and Nananui had the read on it.
Well, Hanbury not happy either. Interesting to see whether he can kick the goal from this pocket. It's a tough one, particularly the way the breeze is.
Watching a few boys from this situation in the warm-up, and
the ball went pretty straight.
It did go straight. We had a little bit of a chat to Josh Hill about that, and he was saying the ball was going straight through.
He looks like he's going to chip it there.
Did not look convinced at all. Sets it up instead for Kennedy to go run at it. But
you know, we see that happen a lot, Hutto. Players want to chip it. They want to chip it, but they never chip it to the advantage of their teammate. No. Now, pick your bloke, pick a spot 10 in front, give it enough height that he can lead and jump at the ball.
Don't chip it either, Hutto, when you've got all these numbers back in your forward 50 anyway. Have a shot from that pocket.
The path to goal was well mapped out there. That's
he had Shepherd in a headlock.
Well, he knew he had the size and strength advantage on him.
Well, the kick went to the wrong side of the contest. That was the problem.
Good win for the Eagles, and so is that.
McGlynn's got the big job on Gaff today as well, so that's a big responsibility for McGlynn.
Top 10 in the AFL for contested marks this year is Nick Nananui. Jetta inserts him. This looks good for Kennedy, but it slides past Grundy, very wary and getting more and more concerned, and it gets there. Great goal from Kennedy. They won't want that isolation. I mean, no defender does these days. It's all done in numbers, but Kennedy's such a threat. Start of the year in brilliant style. It's just dropped off a fraction in terms of goals. Kicked 2 goals, 3 last week against Alex Rance, of course. Tough man to come up against. Hanbury gets the Swans going again. Into Franklin. Good scrap down there with McKenzie. It's going to be some duel. Buddy wins it on the ground. It's hard to be clean, though. Lloyd out to Mills, drifting into the 50, and then to Hanbury. It's just give to the man you see at the moment. Tippett changes that. Sinclair to the front, away from Hewitt. Gaff on guard. Wellingham back in the team. His first game for the year. Shepherd, and it's well contained. Hearn had some options. They're moving it nicely, aren't they, the Eagles, and what we've seen so far.
Yeah, great skills coming out of the defensive end across centre wing. Their ball use by foot has been excellent.
Lacroix plonks that on the wing, and it wasn't just as we say that.
Yeah.
Hands it straight back to Mills.
Twice I've said that now, Hutto, and twice they've turned it over.
Mitchell coming off his quietest game, and it's a relatively quiet game for Tom Mitchell last week. 22 disposals. He's in career best form. Goes wide for Heaney. 4 goals last week, up against McGovern at the moment. That's appetising for the fans watching, and that's not a great kick either. Markle out on the full.
Gaff's going to have to be careful of McGlynn. You can see them running on screen now. McGlynn just trailing about 5 metres away from him. But when the ball's coming forward, McGlynn is... I know that that Gaff is trying to get in the web and get in a defensive position, but McGlynn's very dangerous and can score goals on you. So he has to be careful, Gaff.
Hanbury just tried to wait the kick for Franklin. The brush past the umpire on the way, but Buddy's taken the mark and is going to line up for his first.
Just gave a little bit too much out of latitude. Eric McKenzie was sitting 3 or 4 metres off, and there was a nice clear corridor lead for Franklin straight up the middle, and as soon as Hanbury got the ball, he was off.
And the weather closing in a bit too. Moons, we'll get to you in a moment. We'll watch the kick first of all from Buddy Franklin. As we said, 4 goals each week. Out a bit to the left, and then bang, it's straight through. And the Swans back in front. Buddy Franklin has moved now to 723 goals. He's 19th of the all-time goal kickers. Just goes past Harry Valance. Wayne Carey and Peter Hudson are on 727. So if he kicks 5 goals, he'll join Carey and Hudson today.
He'll be looking at them in the rearview mirror very, very soon, Hutto, and he'll just start chalking them off as he goes. Second
highest left footer, too, in history in terms of goal kickers. Oh, there's some high contact
behind
there.
Who?
Matthew Lloyd.
Right out behind. Right out. Take it out, Harry. Hey, right out.
So Kennedy comes to the footy after the Redden kick. McGuinness, who's into the team today. Gaff tries to fasten that one towards goal. Had a pretty fair fist of it too.
Boys, Jeremy Laidley in a little bit of trouble after that big hit. He's got the staggers here at the moment.
Yeah, I can see him there as well, Moons, and I think it was Kennedy who came in from behind just to crash that.
Yep, that's exactly
pack.
right.
McVeigh gives it plenty. Shepherd was able to see where it was going, but Papley beat him with the punch. Takes the mark, tries to bounce up off half-back. Tried to be a little bit too cute in the conditions. Wellingham. Marston runs straight into the heaving tackle of Nick Smith.
Look, yes, it's a mistake from Tom Papley, but he made it trying to play on quickly, so I don't think anyone's going to mind. That was just Laidley getting cleaned up by Kennedy, and he got the whiplash head into the turf.
It's a good example of the mindset of the way footy's being played at the moment, Jason, isn't it?
Oh, we love that quick play on football. It's brilliant.
McGovern, whose brothers made quite an impact in the past couple of weeks. Tricky for McVeigh, and it's over and out.
So Kennedy and Prittis look to be going head-to-head, which is an interesting battle.
McGovern, well, he was on Franklin for a moment away to your left, but he's in between Schofield at the moment. As the high ball hit up by Lacroix. Swans had an extra body there. Richards tried to wade through. The release was good. And now Rampy had to rush the kick. Out to a one-on-one. Butler plays it in front and gets it over the line and out of bounds. Not deliberate, the early call from the umpire.
It's interesting. We saw McKenzie on Franklin when he kicked that first goal, but now that Tippett's playing forward, McKenzie goes to Tippett, which leaves Schofield, who's a really good runner, to go on to Franklin. And you'll see McGovern drift as that loose, tall down back, trying to take the intercept mark at every opportunity.
Which he did so well last week. Oh, Kennedy, milestone game for him.
And after last night, his brother looks an exciting player too. The two McGoverns, they look like they can mark the ball, that's for sure.
Jace, it's an interesting matchup, that one with Schofield, isn't it? I mean, yes, he's very quick on the lead, but for pure body strength in those one-on-ones, I would have thought McKenzie would have been the better matchup.
He might be, Moons, but you know what? Franklin doesn't take that many one-on-one marks. He's more your mobile player.
The way it's looking at the moment is that if Tippett comes up to play as the ruckman, that's when McKenzie will move over onto Buddy.
Well, it could have been high, but it seems it wasn't. It could be holding the ball. Well, it wasn't that either.
Easy, cut it out. No freeze.
As you look at the Sydney forward line,
Keep the meter.
largely vacated except for that man Buddy, and Tippett creeping down towards the wing to try and provide a path, and that's the side of the ground where the ball is now.
Deliberate.
But long way from home.
A few players put their hands up from West Coast saying deliberate, but I think the umpires are getting to understand that rule a little better too as the weeks go by.
And he's starting to settle, isn't it?
So scores level. It's going to be a grind this afternoon. Plenty of rain today in Sydney. Wind as well is another factor. The elements could be very important. McGuinness came to this side preferred for Giles in replacing Lysette in terms of the big man into the team. Nifty little hands. Doesn't get the Swans out of there though. Good tackle from Mitchell, but he's a bit of a brute, is Darling, and at least he found something on the way through.
Just saw this earlier with Lacroix coming through the contest. This is why he's so dangerous as a player. You can see him just coming through right now in front of that contest. No one goes near him. That's how he gets out. He goes up to stoppage, then he runs forward with no one on him. That's the smarts of Lacroix to be able to play as a forward, push up to a stoppage and have an impact as well.
Holding Matt Prentice, West Coast, help on the jumper.
Prentice, who returned to the West Coast Eagles side today after missing last week with injury. Game number 201 for him. Early leap from Kennedy. Just got it slightly wrong.
Good looking lead. Yeah, could nearly have been pinged given he didn't touch the footy.
So boundary throwing. Crowd quiet at the moment.
Well, Kennedy's already crashed Laidler, and now he's into the back of Richards as well. He's not letting the spare have an impact in the contest.
It's a competitive start by West Coast.
Well
that's
trapped.
on the road. I'm sure they'd be pleased with that. Although now they've got some chasing to do as the ball sneaks out to Cunningham. He knew what he was doing with the handball, and so did Laidler to duck out of the tackle from Shepherd. And now they're on the move and getting some adventure going on the wing. Lloyd not perfect, but okay to Jack. Papley with the angles, got Buddy on offer. Well, Tippett's down there as well. Tossed up high. Kennedy resting forward. At the back of the pack, it's Butler. And it's close to the line, and Butler sees it there now.
The option to Kennedy was actually a really good kick. It just sat up too high. He was the loose player. But because the kick was so high, it allowed West Coast to get across and spoil the footy.
Papley's had an excellent start up to 6 disposals. He was the one who trapped it when you said great trap inside defensive 50. Then was the one who kicked it inside forward 50. So his work rate's very high.
Prentice, not enough on that kick. Slight fumble, McGlynn under the greasy conditions. Marston back to the wing, but Grundy.
It's going to be a great battle, this one, Grundy and Kennedy. He'll back himself to mark the ball, Heath Grundy, when he has the opportunities.
Does it there, not that well directed, although Parker, we know what he can create. Gets it to Mitchell, Wellingham, nice pick up under the circumstances. McGovern, he'll just slam it right out towards the wing. Darling, Imperious in the air, lovely mark, shares it with Prentice, kept on coming. Reached a bit of an impasse.
I was about to say can't go long because Richards is sitting back there, and that's exactly what he's done.
Back to Grundy again. A lot of footy they've played together.
That one with Prentice, I think he needs to keep running past that contest, not call for it on his right leg.
Yep.
Because they had a right footer as the next release, which would have kept the ball coming this way for West.
Watch out, Buddy was coming. Sorry, John, I thought Buddy...
No, that's fine. Go for it.
Come up with something special. Kennedy in his 150th game for Sydney to full forward. Oh, that man Sinclair!
I like it. And it's going to be paid a 50-metre penalty for a push. I think he's going to bring him round right to the goal line in front. He didn't play on, Callum Sinclair. I like that because he had someone right behind him. He knew he'd taken the mark. He just rode the contact, and then he kicks the easy goal.
Which he does now.
Old Keith Cam, he nearly left this world.
It's Kenny, isn't it?
Sorry,
Kenny. It's Kenny. I said Keith Cam.
Yeah, then I followed you.
Yeah, Kenny Cam.
Oh, Matanui gets them quickly. And Rampy.
And Kenny nearly left this world when Plugger decided to
Yes, he did.
drill one at him years ago.
Duggan maybe a little unlucky not to get a free. Elliot Yeo was so dynamic last week. Hanbury, part of this hard-working, powerful Sydney midfield, which is surely going to test West Coast today.
Sinclair would be thrilled that he's got a goal under his belt, and I reckon Lewis Jetta would be relieved that he got a couple of early touches as well. Nothing better than settling in early against your former team.
Yes, the summer trade is in action against each other today. Marston, and they collapse on top of him.
We saw a real quick outside game last night. You just don't get the feeling we're going to get the same type of game today. A lot more inside, really hard struggle.
Parker and Lloyd had no awareness, just oblivious. Oh, he's got a free.
I thought Josh Hill actually rolled him perfectly then. I thought it was a great tackle.
He might have been feeling guilty about it because he's handed it straight back. Duggan tries to put it in front of Darling. Darling's done very well, saw off Rampy. Kennedy's manufactured a kick, which was never online.
Guys, just quickly, Jeremy Laidler just going down underneath with the doctor at the moment. I reckon it's just after that big hit. He's kept playing the game out, so I think he's okay, but he's just going down for a quick check.
I think Josh Kennedy just copped the low one too. He's sucking in the big ones at the moment.
Adanui, well done Tippett, was as steadfast as he could be at the front. Prentice trying desperately to find that left boot, and he found the left boot. He just couldn't find the major opening.
He stepped around two blokes in the space of 1.5 meters.
Yeah.
Without really moving much.
He's correct.
Some blokes can just do it, can't they? Smith, or they're trying to hit those aggressive targets. Hewitt back in the team today. Parker trying to take on the world. Redden's a hard man to get past, though. He found that out. Mills back to the wing. They're outnumbered here, the Swans. It was always going to be tough for Papley. And the Wellingham who sends them forward. Trainer's got to get out of the road. Hill came late. Here's Prentice again on the 50. The architect through to Yeo. And well done by McVeigh, although he doesn't mark it. The greasy ball, the factor there.
What we have seen already in the first quarter, one of the criticisms or one of the question marks over the Sydney Swans was, do they have enough good kickers in their back six? 3 or 4 times they've turned the ball over, not getting back from the mark, picking a target that perhaps is a little bit risky, and they've created turnovers. Lucky they haven't been punished.
Especially when they're getting so much uncontested ball at the moment. Double that at West Coast.
Luke Shuey, who has won a few of those type of free kicks. What a player he is, though. He was outstanding last week in Perth against Richmond.
No arguments from that free kick, though. Luke Parker just walked away, nearly ripped his head off.
Yeah, it started high and got higher, didn't it? He had 95% disposal efficiency last week in his 22 disposals. And Luke Shuey is just getting better and better as the years pass, and he's able to sneak that one through.
And there's Kenny, a.k.a. Keith, wearing the extra camera on his head so we get a bird's eye view.
Oh, I just hope we can get it later on as well when his passion just really explodes.
West Coast free out of the middle. They're leading the clearances 9-7. Prentice has now had 4 of them. LaCroix.
Not a great kick.
No, it wasn't. Yeo was spinning. He didn't know where he was going to stop. Richards takes the mark. This is going to test, as Jason said, this Sydney defence, not just in defying the Eagles, but in using the ball on the way out. Hewitt flies, so did Parker, but it's all the Eagles when it hits the ground at the moment. They're winning the important contest. Butler plays it out for Jetta. And that's the conditions.
They're winning the contest, Hutto, when it hits the deck because they've got players at every exit point when a ball hits the ground. Their outnumbers perfect, but their shape around the contest, they've got nearly a diamond pattern where they've got players in either part just blocking the exits of Sydney's trying to get through.
Adanui.
You could hear the umpire. He was saying deliberate, deliberate, deliberate. No mistaking.
Oh, guys, that happened right in front of me. That was not deliberate. He actually fell over and got pushed into the ball. That was a really bad call.
Thank you.
Oh, if we get an opportunity to have a look at the...
And it was actually the boundary line umpire that told him it was deliberate.
Here's Richards.
Play on.
By hand, so they just halted in their tracks. You can see the uncertainty with Smith and now Rampy, an aggressive player by nature, being tested here. And the pickup was good from McGlynn, but again, uncertainty. Where to go? Nowhere. Cornered. Hill picks up, takes the advantage. Full toll, yes!
Josh Hill had to kick the goal as well. He had players out everywhere. He could have gone inside to Lacroix. Good finish in the end from Josh Hill.
The web seems to be adapting pretty well to the SCG right now. Kick inside from Parker. Heaney versus Schofield. Wellingham. Lovely trap. Jack trying to keep it in. Gaff. Hill comes again. Redden was there, but uses Hearn instead. And that's high. Takes the advantage. Adrenaline pumping for the Eagles at the moment. Kennedy's going to bolt back to the square and then leads back at the ball. He's pushing. He's coming again. The kick really favoured Grundy. Got good help from Rampy. And they are under siege at the moment, this Sydney defence. Mills the next to try his hand at kicking the ball out to half-back. Lloyd outsized. And it's out of bounds.
I know Kennedy's the key forward, Jason. He draws the ball anyway because you look up, you see, oh, there's our key. We've got to get it to him. But if that ball had to go on the top of the square, it was Cripps v Mills.
Yep.
Start putting the young defenders under a bit more pressure as well, one-on-one. Just see how they handle it early on. It may become a proper target for you as a side if you can beat them.
Great kick.
It was by Hanbury. It's to wait a long time.
Franklin, one out deep. Just get it down there quick.
And Papley does not make the connection at all.
Too many times they haven't cleared the man on the mark, Sydney, in their endeavour to play on quickly.
Well, Papley was looking for the fat side kick, but he stopped on his run to come back at him. That's what made the kick so difficult.
Lacroix. The ball fisted away that time from Cripps by Mills. So some real concerns here for John Longmire with the way West Coast have started this game.
It's interesting, the stats tell us that Sydney are kicking at 61%, West Coast at 55%, yet I'd argue it appears to be the other way around. At least going forward, some of the kicks have been much better for West Coast.
Into the breeze too. Shuey just got boot to ball apparently. Redden for Kennedy.
Side of the boot. Side of the boot.
He got a little side kick. You hear the umpire there, and that's exactly what happened. Just got it on the side of the shoe.
Boundary umpire sneaking a metre inside to give it that extra bit of leverage. And from the throw in, Shuey feeding Redden. No high contact that time. Marston, 4 players coming for him. And they get the reward with a mass tackle. Parker, just circumspect.
This is the kick that they've struggled with.
Tippett has the size advantage and draws the free against Shepherd.
It's not too bad though, that's okay, that's a win. Shepherd is outsized, Jace, but if he gives away the free kick, it slows them down, they can set up defensively.
But that's a great example of kicking to a mismatch that you were talking about.
Yep.
All the numbers around the drop of the ball were West Coast then, so if Sinclair didn't take the mark, they were out of it, and that's what happened. McGovern goes with a probing ball. This time Grundy takes front position on Kennedy.
He reads the play well, Heath Grundy.
Quickly lays it off, still trying to get the run and zip.
Floater.
It's a mishmash of a kick. It's worked out pretty well for Papley. Shares it with Mitchell to stand start. And it's well played ball for Hanbury. Let's see if he can go back and convert.
Yeah, what I liked about that kick from Tom Mitchell is the impulse would have been to go long to Franklin, one out, who was trying to get back on his opponent, Mackenzie, at that particular point in time. Sometimes you've got to ignore the bloke that you're normally used to kicking to, the forward magnet, who's such a good player, and look at the best option. And that was Hanbury, just in a pocket of space, a little chip kick over the top.
They're good numbers from a small sample, but 4 goals, 5 for the year for Dan Hanbury. Coming off a 37 disposal game last week.
He's missed everything. Sneaks it in for a point. That's a poor kick.
2 goals, 3 now Sydney. West Coast 3 goals, 3. Skipper of the Eagles, Shannon Hearn. Himself and then out close to the boundary line, designed for Shepherd, well taken by Hanbury, the snatch, and then the tackle came from Darling, and it was tough to do much with it. Lacroix getting the same sort of heat. Rampy takes it out.
I'm sure McGrath was happy to get that handball. 2 blokes running straight at him. He just had to stand there and cop it.
West Coast with a 6-point lead. Sydney attacking. Parker waiting down for it, but has Shuey to deal with.
Tackle on the knees. West Coast.
Free kick for Shuey. Takes it as the hand, and then Gaff gives it back to him. Their position's not really improving by those disposals, but Shannon Hearn's able to kick cleanly to Fraser McGuinness down the line. So McGuinness has the footy. Just his 8th game of AFL footy. Richards can't mark. Prudis where he should be. Cripps low for Kennedy on the bounce. The trap difficult to handle. Grundy hoping the umpire might give him a free, but apparently it's out.
No, he never had control of that, Kennedy. It was trapped under his legs. He couldn't get his hands on it. Good decision.
Adenui and Tippett in the wrestle. Mitchell, he couldn't get the ball into his boot quick enough to get it out of there. Good body work from Papley. He committed to moving on. And unfortunately for he's turned it straight back over. Scrappy kick back at you from the Eagles. Jack, terrific in these tough conditions. So too Parker. Was it high? Yep, was from Prentice.
That first contest between him and Shepherd, I think it was, before he got the free kick from Prentice, was a tough contest. He went through it hard. Yeah. Shepherd stood his ground as well.
Just sense that the Swans have dug in a bit here in the last couple of minutes. They needed to. Sinclair from behind. Hard to jump over that man, McGovern.
Yeah, and if you can't get there to take the mark, he's got to spoil that one, Sinclair, because we know how good an intercept marker McGovern is.
Dominant in the air last week. 8 marks, 3 of them were contested. Jeremy McGovern to half forward, working the angle with Butler. Knew he was about to be tackled. Prentice on the right side. Hearn just jammed it on the boot. Tough for Darling. Sweeping. There he is, Grundy, and he's got Heaney.
Yeah, the next one's going to be interesting.
Nothing.
Schofield sitting out there in space.
The tallest player down the line was Tom Papley.
That's a strange kick.
That wasn't.
He's actually kicked to the West Coast lead.
Schofield impetuous, wanting to go now. He can. Siren sounds, and it ends. I would think a pretty satisfying quarter by the Eagles. They probably would have liked to have got more reward, but if the breeze is as it appears and favouring the end that Sydney went to, then it's an excellent opening quarter by the West Coast Eagles. On unfamiliar territory, the Swans have got lots of work to do, but the West Coast Eagles have a 6-point lead at quarter time. Which is where they dominated Sydney last year when they last met in round 17. They won by 52 points in Perth. Different story here in Sydney, you would expect. And the Swans trying to generate some footy by Kieran Jack. Papley comes at the ball. Out muscle. Size by Big McGovern, and now Marston has it really wide. Rampy trying to track it down. Darling a couple of metres in front of him, as you saw. Prepared to use the hands, and now the feet of Nick Smith. McGovern again.
He's just a star, this young man. And particularly playing on inexperienced players, if they match him up against the Hewitt and these types, he's going to do a lot of damage.
Getting good control of the footy. Elliot Yeo too far out to score himself. Natanui's going to make a run for it.
Oh, take it out. Yeah, it's a push. It's a free kick to Nick Naitanui.
I reckon that looked a lot worse than it actually was. He had to be strong to hold his ground because there was going to be a bump between the two, and I reckon he's just got Naitanui a little off balance and he's gone tumbling over, so it looks like he's given him the biggest shove of all time.
Kurt Tippett desperately wanting the umpire to look at the replay. Very seldom do. Naitanui converts, and the Eagles lead by 12.
He's got pretty good vision.
I just reckon it's better body work by Naitanui.
Yeah, I think that would have been shaking pretty quickly after that, Jono, when the decision was made. And Kenny Cam, as the ball was kicked forward for the Swans by Tippett now. Gaff, the Eagles right on the job here today. Elliot Yeo's kick, half forward. Darling's charging out. It skids to him. Jack slowed him somewhat. They're still on the advance though, the Eagles. Shuey just dismissed the tackle. Gets it back out for Jetta. Fires the handball. Shuey again. It's a slower build now. It's got lots slower. Fumble from Wellingham. Goes in though to retrieve the situation.
Dragged it in.
It's got out. Hewitt. Hanbury just shoveled it to Kennedy and then to Franklin. Just pops it Across for Heaney, hasn't been a factor yet. No long targets for him other than Sinclair. Franklin on the run. It's a massive kick. It's a monster bomb, but it's not straight. It had all the hallmarks of a big batty goal, that one.
The trouble was there were 2 or 3 West Coast players back, so he didn't really have too many options.
He doesn't need encouragement.
Look at the way they've set up here. They've got everyone around the 50 arc and the 2 talls in the middle of the ground, and they all get front and square.
Swans the numbers out the back. Mills has got issues, and they got bigger very quickly. Now Darling, just a bit slippery through that mid-cricket pitch area. Yo's chipped it up, but fruitless kick, you would think.
Try to trip that up rugby league style and let someone try and run onto it and take the mark.
We're going to see more of that, Jono, as the way the footy's being played at the moment.
Yeah, a little bit, but interesting from West Coast. First kick out in the first quarter, straight down the middle. First one of the second quarter. Straight down the middle as well. Set plays.
Moons, you got an update on Jeremy Laidler for us?
Yeah, he's just walked past me now, guys. He's done for the day. He's obviously went down for the concussion test and didn't pass. He's walked around the boundary line with his sneakers on. He's now sitting on the bench all rugged up. So he's done for the day. Jerry, we're just seeing there on screen. So they are down a rotation, boys.
All right, thank you, Moons. Natanui, he's really enjoying having a full pre-season. He didn't have to battle injury for much of last year. Wasn't probably ever at full fitness. But looks good this year. So do the Eagles right now. They're pressing again. Grundy certainly got his hands full. Battling away manfully. Rampy.
Yes, who?
Free to tip it.
Didn't even know the free kick was his tip. Yeah. That one's gone against Natanui.
And guys, just a quick update on the weather. It's just starting to get a little bit heavy. I think for the next 20 minutes they're talking that it's going to get a little bit heavier. Now the lights are all on at the moment, so it is quite dark down here.
Says that with much enthusiasm. Yes. As the kick goes to half forward. They seem to be playing into West Coast hands right now, don't they? The Swans on the way out.
They cannot move the ball through the West Coast web.
And McVeigh, does the weather make it harder in a way to get around the web with accurate kicking?
Yeah, well, of course it does, Hutto, because you're not going to take that risk. You're going to keep trying to go down the line, contest, out of play, create a stoppage, go again, or create some forward movement from a congested situation.
Heaney and Hanbury. Kennedy. I think he'd thrive in these conditions. Inside again. Hearn smashes it out. Jack. And now Tippett. Oh, the initial handy work was good, but that one not so. Tough for Robinson. Good tackling from Hewitt and Robinson.
Gee, that's an opportunity lost. If that hand pass hits the mark, they have a shot for goal.
Well, it was a great rotation. Sinclair came on to Natanui. Tippett then left him and got involved in the play. So great work from the ruckman from Sydney. They just couldn't capitalise.
Let's see if the Swans can lock this away, or even better from them, kick a goal. Certainly not going to be a major with that kick. In fact, it's no score at all.
He'd like to do better, Hutto, but that was good play again because he stayed around the contest. No one went to him from West Coast point of view. So Tippett played that smart for the last couple of minutes.
Can they hold it in there? McKenzie kicks it out. Natanui, the obvious target. Sinclair screws it back. It's West Coast had the optimum positions, and again it's that man McGovern.
Yeah, Sydney forward's got to get in front. You can't let McGovern lead you to the ball. Tippett caught behind on that occasion. Dangerous kick.
Yo, Pritis, and now Gaff. The build is excellent. No tall targets. Right down the line. Darling's working back to be possibly one of them. Kennedy takes the extra metres on offer. Hill. And now they've got it there.
Gee, that's a big kick. It's got 65 metres.
Tough task for the defence now. With the ball deep in West Coast attacking area. Breeze going that way of any. Shallow throw in. Almost hit Mitchell on the head.
Yes. He was ducking out of the way. It was as if someone said to him, watch your head.
Well, I think he was reading the body language of the ruckman, and he said, gee, they're coming towards me very quickly.
Kennedy.
High tackle, Sydney.
For a moment I thought it was going to be deemed a throw. And the rain really sweeping through now.
Just struggling to get some flow in their ball movement.
Kennedy kicks out to the wing. Oh, Heaney with the early rise.
Has to be.
West Coast.
Had to be. He went up way too early.
McGovern again, his 10th disposal. Sinclair got both hands to that, brought it to the front. At least it's in Sydney's hands from his point of view. Parker kicking it back to the wing. Now Lloyd's kicks touch. McGovern again. Hard-man to get past. Papley gets it on the floor. Gives himself an opportunity. And it all slip-slides away from him.
Just concerned about Cam Mooney at the moment. You're all right there, Moose. Give us a wave out of there. There he is.
The gutsy, tough.
I might be able to play for the next 20 minutes, boys.
Hey, what are you making of the action right now, Moons?
Slippery and wet.
West Coast leads by 11. They're handling these conditions pretty well. Tippett brings it down to his feet, and there's Marston. Jack off the side of the boot. There's some danger in that, but Richards almost finds himself within scoring range. Can Sinclair or Franklin come at it? They do, but no mark. Robinson to Buddy. Just got away from it. Slippery ball. McInnes takes it through.
It's just hard at the moment to see where Sydney's next goal is coming from.
Gaff back to two separate one-on-ones. Rampy worried out of it that time by Darling. Smith looking for a free. Gets his wishes.
Excellent play from Smith. They couldn't control it. West Coast got his body just in the way and effectively won the free kick.
Heaney chooses not.
West Coast, Jeremy McGovern.
He's causing all sorts of problems, McGovern. They actually had Tom Mitchell in the corridor then, but Nick Smith didn't have the confidence to hit that kick.
McGovern again. Cunningham, no free kick. Duggan tries to scoot through. You can hear some disgruntled fans coming through our microphone.
He's hurt himself, Cunningham, holding the left ankle.
It's 2 down for Sydney. That spells trouble. Duggan on the left. This looks like it could be trouble too for Sydney.
Oh, he got paid that one.
Tim Richards is the latest to be down.
And there's Cunningham.
Move it on. Play on.
Now the walking wounded at the moment. Sydney's copped a whack to the jaw. Richards.
Back to the wing for Parker. Big fly. McInnes held his ground. Kennedy, instant drop. Flicked out of there well by Marston. The fumble came from Lloyd. They've scrounged it inside 50. LeCras, Cripps, close him out.
See if we can find out where he twists the ankle.
Goes okay. Oh, there,
Stood on another foot.
Yep.
It's bad, doesn't it?
Elliot Yeo.
Oh, good hands.
Gaff poking ball for Kennedy. Again unwhistled. Mills just heaved it back. McGovern against Hewitt. A miss. Oh! Sconned Heaney.
A ground falcon.
Look at him. He's done well.
Just a little pat of the nose.
Just brush it off. Let's put him on the deck. Oh, that's in his chest. Yeah.
Lucky. That would have hurt him in the face.
Tippett poked it down. McGlynn. That's better ball handling from the Swans. Smith. Buddy. McKenzie. Extras came from Shepherd. It was good stuff. But they're on the back foot here, the Eagles. The Swans are able to swarm around. Papley gives it to Franklin. Does he go to Sinclair? No, he goes for home. It was a low percentage kick, but Heaney made it good. Charging run.
And you can put this goal down to Tom Papley. His work to put pressure on, to lay a tackle, to then gather the loose ball, and to then feed the ball out to Franklin was first rate, and that is hosing down at the moment. Well, Lane is teaming down.
I didn't give Buddy enough credit, perhaps. Maybe he was kicking for Heaney, but it was a great run from Heaney. He was outstanding last week. 3rd time in his young career that he kicked 4 goals. And here he is putting through a very valuable major for the Sydney Swans as it tightens up. Getting on top in the clearances in this quarter. Tippett soccering it. Suddenly a goal. There's a spring in the step. Papley. That's a tough call.
Not much you can do because they're both sliding at that stage when they're on the ground. But he's been super impressive, Papley's made some mistakes endeavouring to play on quickly, but just attacks it.
Just full-bodied in his commitment. Sinclair climbed the highest. It all fell for Mitchell.
Oh, he had a hand pass option. Hewitt all on his own.
Was he in the right? body position to hit a perfect handball to him. Jace, do you think that was the option?
Either handball or kick the goal.
Yeah,
one of the two.
yeah.
Thanks, Luke.
So West Coast lead by 3. Elliot Yeo back to the wing. Darling. Rampy somehow got through to Natanui. The others misjudged it. He just pokes the kick along the line for Cripps. And what a defender he's been, Nick Smith. Gets the fist in when required as the work continues on Harry Cunningham.
Bit of heavy strapping on
You
that
can just
left
see
ankle.
there, guys, he's got it re-strapped again, so the sock's coming back on, so he's going to try to run around on that one.
Natanui, just a bit of ragdoll action on Sinclair. I wonder how many times they've gone against each other at training and what Sinclair's insights would have been into trying to counter Natanui. Hanbury, look at Buddy. He came from one side, Tippett from the other. As it hits the ground, Shepherd, Heaney trying to pace after him. The tackling was strong. Was it high? No. Holding the ball, advantage taken. Dubious advantage, really, for Jack. And now Tippett, McKenzie, Wellingham screwed it back with some skill. Finds Butler. Jetta off halfback. Cripps, no mark. Here's Darling at Mills to counter. And could have been holding the ball or incorrect disposal. Darling goes back for more. Got the same treatment. And now Jetta comes up with those familiar dancing feet. Marston, it's low for Kennedy.
Got there.
Gets there.
What a mark. These conditions, diving forward to hold on to that was a brilliant mark from Kennedy.
The other thing that we're going to find in tough conditions are very few good opportunities to kick goals. So if you can make some of these half opportunities, and in these conditions a kick from here you'd consider a half opportunity, if you can convert these, that'll go a long way towards putting your team in a winning position.
Kennedy, a difficult goal under any circumstances, and he doesn't even score.
Guys, good news down here for Sydney. Harry Cunningham just did some run around and looks to be okay. Looks about to be ready to come back on.
Good stuff, Moons.
Stay there, stay behind, stay behind. Thank you.
Pritters 16 possessions at the moment, Gaff 14 for the Swans, Papley and Hanbury 12 apiece.
Pritters hasn't been as prominent in this quarter, though, has he? Kick goes to full forward. Opened up for Kennedy. Screwed it across the face of goal. And just a couple of those half chances that either side can convert shots like that is so valuable today. Smith from the back pocket. Pritters to leap over the top of the much smaller McGlynn. And it's out of bounds. So just one goal each in this second quarter. Tippett, who's become the Swans' #1 ruckman, but well taken away by Shuey and Marston. Oh, Grundy.
Courage.
Quick switch is effective. Lloyd through the middle. He's got Jack.
Got to use him.
Went for Mills instead, more conservative, and then low but accurate for Kennedy. Wants to keep coming. Challenging one for Tippett. It's going to clear his head, but good backup arriving. Although fumble initially from Parker. Pokey little kick is good for Hanbury.
Needs one more of those inside 50 to a target.
Doesn't have the shot. Heaney to jump. Oh, it was a massive leap from almost a stand start. Mitchell, Hewitt, McGlynn, Lloyd, Teddy Richards. Surely not from Teddy. The fullback turned full forward. And doesn't he love that? Even he can't believe it.
He's surprised.
That's a great reaction. But they're those half chances we're talking about that can make the difference in this match today.
Game 257, his 33rd goal. Of course, he did spend a bit of time forward when he started his career at Essendon. What a defender he's become for the Sydney Swans, though. Hewitt. The momentum has really turned around in this game.
Well, we just saw some interesting numbers, Hutto, with the hit-outs in favour of Sydney. So Tippett and Sinclair doing a great job because normally you associate hit-out wins with Natanui.
Ted Richards not having a shot this time from half-back. Back to the wing. McGovern fends it away. Well, Hill, they're looking at each other, the Eagles. And Jack decided, I'm going to go and win the footy. Robinson, the greasy conditions a factor, then runs straight back into the tackle from Hill. And the Eagles just digging in for the moment they needed to. Hewitt, it jolted out from Cunningham. Hill again, instant handball. Could have been a throw. Umpire had a good view at it though and said no. Shepherd, Jack, Duggan slides in. Could have been high. A lot of could have beens and would have beens. But in the end, it's a ball up.
5-2 hits the advantage in this quarter, Sydney, so they've taken control around the stoppage areas. Had to wrestle that ascendancy back off the West Coast Eagles. They've done well.
Natanui gets it down. There's Tippett, though, trying to parcel it out. Gaff got the same treatment. Hill looking for the free, just trying to protect it away from Kennedy. Hanbury also sliding in. Turning the body. Lloyd. Wellingham's going to cop it here from Parker, who rose and got it, and now gets it back from Franklin. Now he's got control. Heaney, he's going to jump if he can. He couldn't. Well done, Mackenzie. Papley came flying through. This is pressure. It's pressure stuff. Heaney goes again. Papley, they just pushed and prodded and eventually prevailed.
Anything could happen mentality, and anything happened there.
Bit of BG's mentality, Jono.
Yes.
9 points the margin suddenly. It's Adam Simpson with some questions about his team's performance. The clearance dominance evidenced by the numbers. And suddenly they're hitting some targets as well going forward. It's all starting to fall into place. High ball from Parker. Buddy was being spun around by Mackenzie. And safely enough into the hands of Lacroix. Challenging one for Jetta. He wasn't quite in the right spot. And these are the contests that Sydney are starting to win. Cunningham to Parker, who's been a big factor in this quarter. McVeigh on the angle. Hewitt from behind. Now Gaff with the cleanup. Stand, start, Shepherd. Hard to get enough momentum on the kick. It doesn't clear the danger. McGlynn. Franklin wants it deep. Heaney has become a real target for them. Hewitt. Here's Franklin again. Duggan. Yo. Mills. Now the uncertainty for West Coast. Went for Darling. Rampy had him covered. They've got most pace covered at the moment. That's not going to help too much. Marston stripped of it again. The tackling, the pressure from the Swans. They've lifted it a couple of gears in this quarter. Kennedy. Hewitt. Wellingham. Tippett. Give it to Butt.
Oh, just missed it.
Hearn. Steadying influence needed from the skipper and provided.
Did well there. You mentioned Parker, though. Hutto, 8 disposals in this quarter. He's really leading the way, setting a good charge for the Sydney Swans.
Back to the wing. There's Mitchell seeing it over. So 3.5 remaining in this second turn.
This West Sydney's had a lot of wins. Cross centre wing here. They've been able to turn the ball over on a regular basis here and rebound strongly in this quarter against the Eagles. 15
entries, has produced 3 goals, 3.
And what about the clearances, Hutto? 11-2 in favour of Sydney in the second quarter. That's what's turned this game around.
It's 10 entries for the Eagles for just 1 goal.
This way, boys. Clear out here. Clear out here.
1 score, so 6 scoring shots to 1.
You mentioned Sydney hitting some targets. 71% by foot this quarter.
Marston got it out of there. But Guinness couldn't hang on to it. Lloyd with the instant handball from Richards. An uncomfortable moment or two, but he's got it underhand. And now McVeigh to Jack. Franklin, the longest of options. He's got the run-up, Buddy. Hard to stop. Mackenzie's a good man to do it, as you saw.
Papley was front square again.
Second contest.
Could have got high contact there twice, I reckon.
Yeah, you're right, Jace. He's very smart in his positioning. He pushes off at the right time. He's not too happy here either.
No, he's not happy.
But
he copped one.
He keeps it alive, and then he's able to make that second effort.
Umpire was an obstacle for Kurt Tippett. Natanui was the man that profited. Sends it back to half-back, but here it comes again from McVeigh. Heaney again trying to get his stays down.
He got it.
He is always at the fall of the ball, Papley.
Very stiff not to get another free kick there. Looked like Marston was right into his back.
He started his plumbing apprenticeship when he was drafted, so maybe he's used to getting down and dirty, Jace.
Yeah.
Prittis. Kennedy just ripped it away. Here he is again. Papley putting the tackle on this time. The Eagles defence under siege here at the SCG. Kennedy tried to slap it out. Jetta, no clean scoop, but he picked it up somehow. So he was seducing the footy, just got it back to the wing. There's Hill, helped it on its way. Small gains can become big ones very quickly. Jetta looks up. There was nothing there for him, so back into the middle. Adventurous but outstanding play. It was brave and effective. Low ball from Shepherd, tailored for Darling, and dropped it under the greasy conditions. Straight down the middle, Rampy. Papley outsized that time. To the front, Hewitt, and it came to Papley. The handball in the blink of an eye was almost too quick for his teammates. He tries to go and get it again, Papley, but can't. Marston, Gaff, the West Coast on the back foot, trying to still be positive on the way out. Jetta and Lloyd in a one-on-one tangle. It's good stuff here at the SCG. They try and keep it alive, but can't.
Great ball control in the wet here from Jetta. That was the first one. He picked up another one straight after this as well, which was clean, with the ball running away from you in wet conditions. Tough to be clean, and Jetta was excellent.
They've still just kicked one goal in this second quarter. The Swans have got in front. They lead by 9. Could go anywhere here. Natanui, Prittis onto that left. They knew it was coming. Wellingham did well not to give away the free there, the Swans. The Eagles try and close it out.
It's just so hard to handle the ball cleanly in these conditions, and every time there's a little double grab or a fumble, you just get wrapped up by the oncoming contest of players. So hard to be clean.
Hanbury. Kennedy with Eagles all around him. Redden. Close to a throw, but the umpire ticks it off. Marston. Here's Kennedy. We're down to 50 seconds. Swans have a 3-1 advantage if he kicks long. LaCroix will know that. Trying to size it all up. Darling, Prittis off the left. Not 15. That was not the news that Josh Hill wanted to hear.
Oh, you're kidding. I thought he had enough on that. I really did. From the angle I was looking at up here, I thought he put enough on it that it was going to sail through.
Which is pretty similar to the angle we're looking from here, Jono. As the kick goes back to the wing. McGovern flies.
Final contact, West Coast.
Final contact.
Straight back to him now, Jeremy. Jeremy.
Oh, lucky that wasn't 50.
Yeah, often that is deemed to be
Giving him back to the wrong player, but I think the umpire said, well, Wellingham standing right in front of him.
Just need one good spoil and a clean take, the Swans, and they'll have seen off the danger here.
Darling copped a nice one in that contest as well.
I'll take it outside.
Locked down to 4 seconds.
Yeah, I'll take it outside.
Compelling quarter of football by the Sydney Swans. They've restricted the West Coast Eagles to just a goal. They've kicked 3-3. They've taken the lead back. There's a few seconds remaining, and that should just about do. Fascinating clash from the SCG. Difficult conditions for both sides. Some quick thoughts, Jace, before we get out to Moons.
Super impressive fight back by the Swans. I thought they were in trouble at quarter time. I thought the Eagles were doing very, very well in all aspects of the game. But we mentioned those clearance numbers. They dominated around the stoppages, Sydney, in the second quarter. Just forced the ball forward. Nothing pretty. The conditions simplified their style of game, and they rewarded themselves with a few goals to get their nose in front.
What's your gut feel, Jono?
Yeah, I'm with Jace. The fact that they were able to push through what was a disappointing first quarter for Sydney around the ball, they changed that at quarter time. They got their act together, and they're able to put their nose on a regular basis.
Down to you, Moons.
Josh, mate, fantastic comeback in that second quarter. They really jumped in that first quarter, but in through the middle of the ground, led by yourself, you really got back on top.
Yeah, it's all about the basics today, and they think got on top in contested possession in the first quarter, and we wanted to win that back. I think we did, but it's going to be a really tough game, really tough second half.
Is it fair to say that we look at the breeze, we know the flags are going down that way, but the wind's probably swirled back down that way?
Yeah, to be honest, I couldn't tell you, mate. As I said, it's just a scrap at the moment. Just get it forward and try and make the most of the opportunities.
Right, Josh, thanks very much, mate. Good luck.
Not directly opposed as we start this third quarter, and Natanui tried to get it down to Luke Shuey. Instead it's Parker, it's Kennedy, and it's Heaney over his head. Sinclair, here's Papley again, got it back into Hewitt. And on the outside, McGlynn. So the small men of the Swans getting busy. Buddy against two as he held momentarily. Play on, Yeo taking no chances.
Yeah, that's a good kill of the ball. Elliot Yeo over the top, not mucking around. A couple of goals in this weather is going to be very hard to peg back. They want to get the next one, the Eagles. They don't want the Swans to open up a 3-goal break.
Almost a hint of sunshine here at the SCG. Almost. As Hearn drives for Darling.
Well, dry conditions at the moment. Darling clean, very clean there. He was fumbly in that second quarter when the rain started to come down.
Very precise kick required there.
Well, it's a risky kick, but a good one because it opens up the ground.
Kennedy, though, doesn't make the most of that. The Swans eventually get synchronised in their
Well, they're out here. They're out here. They should rebound very quickly. Franklin's in space.
Took Sinclair a moment or two, just a pulse to realise that they're still going to get it to Franklin, though. And there he is next to Wellingham, and he's looking for 50. He tried one on the umpire, then against his mate.
Yeah. And Wellingham said to the umpire, he dropped the ball. So as soon as that turnover kick from Kennedy was in the corridor, any quick rebound was always going to result in a shot for goal. So you're going to run out, arc it around.
1 goal, 2 so far this afternoon. Get back on target for his 4 goals if he can kick truly here. And kick truly he has. So 4 consecutive goals now for the Swans. And it's getting to danger time, real danger, as far as the West Coast Eagles are concerned. You see the numbers from turnovers. And another free kick out of the middle.
They gave it back to him. Jack refused to. That's good umpiring.
That is.
Didn't get sucked in for the 50.
The crowd don't think it was good umpiring because
Franklin thinks he's having a shot. He doesn't realise he's got to come back.
Back here.
that's a rude awakening.
He's flat now.
He is. He showed the crowd and all that he's
taking a good mark.
big grab.
Just takes a little bit off it, doesn't it, when you're then going to hand it back. Jack, he might still have another crack. Sinclair comes, Heaney. All in the mix. Kurt Tippett was down there. McGlynn. Those Sydney Smalls have been buzzing around, causing all sorts of havoc.
Watch his head.
Led by Tom Papley. He's taken Hewitt and also McGlynn with him. 16 points the margin.
You see the structure there from the Sydney Swans defenders. They're pressing up the ground because they're getting good pressure from their forwards, locking it in the forward half of the ground.
Big Rushman square off, but it came to Hanbury again. Here's McGlynn. Now Franklin, he was ready to go. Just couldn't take the ball with him.
Holding the man, West Coast.
Holding the man, we actually saved him from flying into the fence in the end, buddy.
He actually grabbed Chris Marston's jumper and didn't let him slide into the fence, which I think was good for Marston's well-being.
Cryer has to fly from behind. He realised there's an interesting handball by Shuey. And it comes straight back.
Great positioning from Richards then.
It's a low ball straight into the breadbasket of Wellingham.
Right there.
I'd love to switch direction if they can.
They can for Hearn for the moment. Gaff is running hard to the wing, but his eyes are set straight down the middle because
Super kick.
Cripps was coming up at him. Kennedy paces back to the square and then doubles back to lead. It was brilliantly worked through by the Eagles and by that man, Josh Kennedy.
And that's what the corridor kick does. We saw a superb kick from Schofield right down the centre corridor. All of a sudden, there are options for Cripps.
15 seconds.
15 gone.
In fact, it was Shannon Hearn.
So Hearn to Cripps to Kennedy, and now the conversion. Left was the worry by the history, but there's no problems at all. It's through the middle. Fantastic watching John Longmire, isn't it? The restraint that he shows.
They have to find ways to vent their frustration, particularly now that that camera's always there.
Sinclair against Natanui, the recovery, the Panther-like recovery. Little toe poke was effective by Cripps. Suddenly the ball going West Coast way. Natanui stayed involved. It's Redden who shaped the goal. Another transformation in this game.
Did it beautifully.
just a good win as well from West Coast, because Sydney's mids did the right thing. They pushed back just as hard as they had to try and win the ball. Just worked out in West Coast favour. It bobbled out to them.
Pritis doing what Pritis does. Gets it out of the middle and gets them started. The Swans swap a bit amongst themselves. And it fell for Gaff. Now Richards just weaving. Putting it out, just plonking it out in front of Tippett and Schofield. And the sliding nature of the conditions sees it over. 7 minutes gone in this third quarter. First goal to the Swans. They had it all heading their way, but West Coast have responded in kind with successive goals.
McInnes into the ruck for West Coast, and Nat Nui's having a spell forward.
Thank you. Straight back, boys. Straight back. Straight back. Hold the meter.
Guinness maybe got the tap, but it's all Sydney. Robinson tried again. Pritis gets it back on his terms. Skies it for the wing. McVeigh strongly back. Had to. LaCroix was coming for the Eagles. Nick Smith. Cripps. There's yardage in that kick. And there's danger in the form of Nick Natanui and Jack Darling. Darling, the collect was fantastic. Onto the left side of Gaff. Pokes it into the pocket and it gets away from Hill.
Sydney appealing for delivery.
No.
Every time it goes out of bounds, someone appears.
Yep. So they've turned it around quickly in this term. West Coast, the game, the last 5 minutes has just been all down their end of the ground.
I think there's a howling breeze to that end. Redden, Mitchell, no love for Sinclair there. Campbell really set him up. And the ball goes over and out again.
Yeah.
Boys, you talk about that breeze. I mean, you look at the flags and he's going right to left. But as we experience when you're down here on the ground, Jason and Jono, you know it hits that Don Bradman's stand and then it does swell back straight down the other end. So no doubt the scoring end is down to the right-hand side.
Robinson's just done enough. Elliot Yeo, he's got a powerful right boot and an accurate one. And that's a goal.
Well and truly over the line.
Elliot Yeo puts West Coast in front. 3 goals, 6 for the season coming into today. Finds his accuracy at just the right moment for the West Coast. 3 consecutive goals. They put their nose in front. Cripps has been really important too, though this time it goes awry. Here's Mitchell sending it forward. Franklin stays down. The contest in the air goes West Coast way. Marston lost his footing, didn't lose control of the footy. Shepherd sends it up onto the wing. Good battle there. Again, tough conditions to negotiate. And it gets away from Cunningham, and it's over the boundary.
How good was that handball from Marston off the deck? Wet conditions to flick it up the way he did then. Tough skill to execute.
Jeremy McGovern's just holding his right hand or right wrist after that massive spoil.
Big hit, wasn't it?
With a heavy ball. Still feeling it. Just giving it a bit of a shake. You see him flexing it there. A heavy ball punched at 20 metres. That has to hurt.
Jack for Lloyd. Dangerous kick. Busy intersection on the wing as they come from either side. Butler. Took 3 Swans to stop him. Redden's gained some ground. Duggan fired it out. Marston was turning and spinning already. Duggan goes again. Shapes the left foot kick to keep it in. Out to meet it, Darling. The bounce doesn't accommodate him particularly nicely. But it's over and out, and the West Coast have got it in their forward half.
He's still shaking the hand. Look at him flexing it. This is the spoil we're talking about.
Good hit. Didn't look too much in it, though, did it,
No.
Jason? Must have just
Caught it at the wrong angle.
Yeah.
Tip it for Mitchell, half smothered. Tries again. A little bit more success that time. Shepherd and Sinclair, big disparity in size. We know Shepherd's used to that, though. Wellingham, got a little cuddle from Buddy. And that's another ball up. Swans just can't get clean ball at the moment.
Thanks, boys.
Massive change in momentum in this game.
This way. Hold that 1 metre, boys.
16 up and seem to be steaming away. Trying to wrest control back around the contest and the clearances West Coast, and they've been effective. Richards that time only had to combat the smaller Cripps. pumps it down the line. McGovern, this will test the fist, or he's swung and missed. Heaney, Shepherd, outstanding. Marston, Butler. LaCroix, dumped by Cunningham. Grundy into the cut and thrust of it. Now LaCroix, they're looking dangerous. Chose well for Redden. Dainty little kick inside 50. And well done, Rampy. Beat Darling to it. Cunningham had to just size up what was ahead. Big challenge for young Hewitt. Got muscled out of it by Hearn. Put some pressure on. Wellingham back for Hearn again. And he reverts all the way back to defensive 50.
He's got options in the middle of the ground.
Sam Butler.
Move it on. Play on.
Yeah, umpire calls time, so angles the kick wide, trying to keep it out of danger. McGovern in front. Canterbury did well not to give away a free.
Play on.
Franklin, the initial fumble. Not a problem for Buddy. Streaming forward, kicking it, hoping for Tippett. He lost his footing. That wasn't in the plans. And now Marston, and they can generate some more run-out offence via Shepherd.
Gee, that's a big win. Butler taking a contested mark against Tippett down back.
Gaff's continued his good form from last year. He started the season so well, and today he's performing extremely well again. 21 disposals already.
I reckon the other one too, Jono, is Wellingham. He steps back into this football team after missing the first few rounds and just absolutely been brilliant down in that back half.
Good call, Moons. Hanbury. It's the West Coast turn it over this time. Jack. He's going to take Heaney's best and not give away the free. He's done well. And here is Wellingham showing that sort of stuff, that anticipation. And that real good footy feel. The kick certainly didn't match the winning of the ball. Now Robinson. Back for Lloyd. Franklin coming up, and he saw him quickly. And this will be a test of the breeze to that end.
Well, I reckon what's suited West Coast in this term is the drier conditions have come back. They've started to mark the ball. They've found things a little easier. The real wet stuff was in that second term when Sydney got back on track. So it's a big test for Sydney now.
Buddy with 2 goals too. Wasn't the perfect strike. He was coming back on the right angle though.
It was online.
Wellingham apologising to Gaff for that kick out of defence a couple of minutes before, which caused the turnover to get the ball back into Buddy's hands. Good jump over the top from McGovern.
Play on.
Goes for distance Hearn, and he can cover plenty of it. Natanui, clean as you like out of the...
Oh, you see that?
He cleared his own protected zone there.
He pushed Kennedy, who's a big man, about 5 metres away, and he hit the deck.
Just
ragdolled
bench-pressed
him. This is awesome.
Schofield down the line. Shuey stays down, and was he being tangled and held? He's done well to get it along the line for Kennedy. He too getting manhandled by Grundy. Now Mills has gone to ground. He needed help. He got it. McVeigh, they're on the back foot here, the Swans. A handball away from disaster, but they stay ahead of the game. Rampy's kick. Big one to be won here. Papley, and he knew it. Shrugs the shoulders, bursts away. Had nothing really to go too long, so mid-distance kick for Sinclair. Still about not losing it, and West Coast have got it back. Schofield feeling the heat, though. Rush kick, and I'm going to hit the chalk.
He did everything right, Papley. He didn't have many options. He attacked the ball. He was outnumbered, but then he found a contest to kick to in Sinclair. Been impressed with his game.
Crowd silenced in this third quarter by 3 consecutive West Coast goals. Tippett continues on with the battle with Natanui. Marston in for McGuinness. Shuey gets done.
Stay in.
Yeah, it does stay in. We know Mills is excellent in the air. Well done. The good counter by Duggan.
Someone just lending a little bit of advice.
Yes.
Is that where the effects mic is? West Coast lead by 1. Natanui, brilliant service for LaCroix. Jetta couldn't capitalise on a half chance. Parker comes away. Back to the wing. Big challenge for players on both teams there. Wellingham went first to the footy, and again Mitchell kept the footing, and now they can reap the rewards. Parker on the advance. Not so good with the kick though. McGovern straight into trouble and straight out of it. Butler, they're bundling it up now with Gaff. Working the angle, McInnes punched away. And managed to keep control of the ball. Just. Now it's out. 9 minutes remaining in this third quarter. She's tightened up again.
It has. Next goal. You know, the side, both teams want that next goal. It's really tight around the contest at the moment.
Hard to come by in a low-scoring encounter. McGlynn to half forward. Pretty good trap by Sinclair. Mitchell starting to find the ball in this quarter.
Good kick.
His sixth disposal for the term. Hanbury, it's set up for young Heaney to rise. He did it with body instead. Play on the call. He got it out to Lloyd. The play deserved a goal, but it's not going to eventuate.
The strength of Heaney to do what he did then in a big body against Mackenzie, to put him on the deck, hold his feet again, which is what Moon spoke about pre-game. He doesn't go to ground in a contest. Stays alive. Should have been a better finish from Lloyd. Kenny's pretty happy.
He saw his replay on the screen. Just admiring his own work.
Yeah, just keep your head straight, Kenny.
Come on, Kenny. Watch this one. It could sail through. McGlynn, it's coming back. Swans in front again. Sydney lead by a goal. Tippett got the tap, but it's Redden trying to get it out of there. Cripps. Marston and now Shuey look behind initially, looking for reinforcements. McGlynn having a little patch, prepared to wear one, and was looking for the advantage, but it didn't eventuate.
He copped a good clip too.
Jace, I reckon it's very underestimated, this guy missing a lot of football last year for this footy club.
Well, the kick is designed for one man, and that's Buddy Franklin. Sinclair came from the side. Parker could have been a factor. Heaney. Natanui just waltzes through.
Put the one-handed pickup.
Hearn back to the...
They want delivery. You can't pay that.
Yes, you can. Tempered the kick well for Buddy.
We saw him kick one from out here. It was a little closer in.
A little tight.
Perhaps not quite as tight an angle, but the important thing was what he did was he kicked the drop punt.
You think he'll do the same?
Well, he looks like he's striking them confidently off the boot.
Buddy Franklin. 2 goals, 2 to his name.
All clear.
Now it's 2 goals, 3. The margin is 7.
With the deliberate, do you think it'll come that if a West Coast kick it out like that, McVeigh could have got there but didn't?
It could be the right.
Is that something that could come in over the next period of time?
If anything, the AFL making stands are going to be even more aggressive on it.
Okay.
The kick goes back to the wing.
I just find it difficult for players when they're in a pack of 10 or 12 people and you just throw it on the boot like this.
Oh, yeah, that's...
I mean, and sometimes you've got to pull the leg one way or another to avoid a smother as well.
McVeigh wasn't going to get to that one, but there are examples where players could get to it and they just let it roll out.
Shuey to half forward. Richards takes prime position. He did well. Marks in front of Elliot Yeo. He's done some good things today, Teddy Richards. 13th disposal coming up. He's kicked a goal. That was one of the good things when they were hard to come by. Back to the wing again. Big pack of players flying. Kennedy with the smarts. Hanbury goes for his mate. Franklin in the pocket. And now Mackenzie with a clean up for the Eagles. Hearn shake it off and then go for the low ball for Mitchell. Intercepts. And on the brink here, Mitchell. His 17th disposal. Heaney could still be the target if he wants to toss it up. And he was, and he did. He didn't mark it. Or Kennedy stripped of it, or heaved out by Tippett. McVeigh had time to look and to make sure of the right foot kick. And it was all true and all good.
Massive half of their ground.
Back this way.
Just 11 disposals for Jared McVeigh. And playing game number 268 today between he and Mark. It's 500 games. The 8th most combined for brothers. West Coast attacking. They need to respond now. Amazing the transformation in this game. Within quarters in the first half, a quarter here and a quarter there. And now within this third turn, first of all it was West Coast. Now it's Sydney with a run of play. 13 points the margin again.
Now, you could argue that's deliberate for kicking it off the deck, and he's going to get pinged. No.
What Sydney are doing well, they're putting pressure on the ball carrier, hard pressure, which is making West Coast go back and lob their handballs. Next one's coming in hard as well to lay an effective tackle, which is then creating good forward momentum for Sydney with numbers around the footy.
Sydney, high tackle.
Free kick going to Kurt Tippett.
Things are going their way at the minute.
Yeah, crowd greeting that decision rather warmly. Tippett seemed a bit bereft of ideas, but just down the line he goes.
Touch.
Hewitt was the flyer. Parker to Mitchell to Franklin. He was on the charts, didn't have a shot, which is interesting because there was no size for him to go to. And it results in a behind.
I think the whole crowd was with you,
yeah,
Hutto. They were just anticipating
right.
maybe something special.
Well, that is the side, isn't it?
That's it, and that's the run we're so used to from Buddy. Involved in the first contest, breaks, gets a handball received. Big goal.
Yo!
Wellingham for Yo. Parker, there's more than a match in the air. No mark paid anyway. And McGovern hopes that Kennedy can be a conduit for another attack.
Too strong, West Coast, Josh Kennedy. Just held front position.
Cripps. And also this man, Gaff, just sneaking forward.
East West 10. Play on.
Gaff's gone around. Darling had 3 Swans to deal with. Goes unwhistled. Cunningham to Mills. He telegraphed it a bit, so they knew where it was going, but he's done that very well.
Yeah, a bit of luck in the end.
I think so.
With a blind kick, but that's just positioning from your teammates.
Robinson Dehaney, you can see how eager he was to move it on. McLean's been good in this quarter. Pumps it for Parker. And he just hangs on. Franklin's waiting deep.
Yeah, he's in space, and Papley's led straight into it.
Yeah, so it's closed out, although that was the place to go. Can he keep it in, but he can. Hewitt. Careful kick from McLean, who's red hot right now. 15 disposals and a goal to his name.
He kicked one from a similar position, virtually right on the 50-metre arc, so this one's a couple of metres closer.
At the time that Josh Kennedy has played 150 games for the Swans, he's played 112. Doesn't have the same run on the fitness front that as Jono alluded to. A very important player when he's up and running. Kick to the left is a worry here, judging on history.
Isn't it funny how instinctive kicks on the run, no problem, but you give players set shots, they can find it a lot more difficult.
It's speed and power, I think, with that. McGlynn before had good speed and power going through that kick. That one there, a bit more relaxed on his run. And you can see there from his history that he does hook them left.
That's it there.
Butler takes the mark as the Eagles now need to find a way.
Well, they need to find a way forward of centre. Their game is based around locking the ball inside their forward half of the ground. They haven't been able to do it since quarter time, and that's why Sydney have been able to get right back into this.
Other than that flurry at the start of this quarter, it's really been Sydney's ball. Lloyd. Well done, Duggan. He's shown enormous promise.
Play on.
Single-handedly won that ball for the Eagles. Can it set something up? Hanbury play on the call. Again, Jack well placed. The sliding Hewitt takes the mark.
Franklin in space, didn't want to use him.
George Hewitt passes instead to Tippett. There was 3 Eagles to contend with in the air. Play on as it hits the ground. Franklin cast in the roll as a rover, and he was about to pick it up. Run into goal.
Gee, they hurt free kicks like that, don't they? You want to keep the ball down in your attacking area.
McGovern with his 19th disposal. Slippery ball. Duggan tries to retrieve the situation. Mitchell for Tippett. And now McVeigh, all those years of experience combined with the class of the skipper. And he's put it through for the Swans for another.
Sort out, boys, come on. Sort out, please. Sort out, come on.
So game high 21-point margin.
It's interesting. Sydney doing very well from turnovers, punishing the opposition.
Punishing knockdown out of the middle by Natanui. Jack had to go a long way back to collect it, but that's just what he did. Mitchell's been an important component in this quarter for the Swans. Outstanding collect from Hanbury. And Hewitt's done okay too.
He's leading up on McGovern, and that's an important role to play to take McGovern out of the intercept marking area.
Just starting to find the footy in this quarter, George Hewitt. Tip it. Again, Natanui's done a power of work back there. Shuey. And Hewitt again. McLean. Change of tack went low.
That's not where you want to turn it over.
Play on.
Marston.
They had coverage in the corridor, so at least they've made West Coast go wide here. Slow them up again.
Play on.
Pressure seconds. Tick away. Jetta got it to McKenzie. And now to Shepherd. You can hear the crowd's response that was wild.
Yeah, and he's just having a go at Eric McKenzie, saying you should have kicked it up there rather than handballing it to me on the boundary line.
And that is beautifully done from Cunningham off half-back. He was called to play on by the umpire, and his reaction and recovery was great. Kennedy goes down the line. He spotted Sinclair, and Franklin coming hard at the ball. Jack for Mitchell. Just over Hanbury's head and juggled by Butler.
It's a good mark from Butler, but once the ball hits the deck, Sydney want it more at the moment. They're putting stronger body pressure on West Coast, and they're winning those clutch contested ball situations.
Been a strange old quarter, hasn't it, with Sydney kicking the first, West Coast the next three, and then Sydney the next three. And then 9-12 Sydney, West Coast 7-3. So in terms of scoring shots, it's 21-10 in favour of the Swans. And 11 more entries.
You've got to remember that they're down a player and have been since early in that second term. The Sydney Swans with Laidler getting concussed. So there'll be heavy legs in the last term after, in particular, that slog in the second quarter. So it'll be a good test of fitness.
There's Jeremy Laidler.
Straight back. Separate me, please. Watch on the floor.
No doubt he'll feel much better if the Swans can win. Tough as it is to be a spectator for the afternoon. Gaff shoveled it out for his 27th disposal. And now Lacroix. Obviously a critical player for them if they're going to get back into this game. 21 points adrift. The siren is going to stop any thoughts of a late goal in this third quarter. It proved to be a very important one for the Sydney Swans. They were challenged, they were headed, but they have responded. They've kicked 4-6 for the term to 3 straight to set up a 21-point lead at the last. There's the scoreline as we start proceedings in this final term. Sydney by 21. And Natanui, where it all starts, down to Shuey. We've seen that before. Off to Pritis, and they're in the arc. Lacroix defied by desperate Nick Smith. Gaff first to it. Hanbury, though, was right on the job for the Swans. Won a big contest and sets Kennedy away. In flight, the Swans. Next stop, Papley. Takes the mark down the line, Sinclair. Buddy a bit further on. And the shallower kick is okay, marked by Parker. He keeps going with the flow, cutting kick inboard, McGlynn, lightning to Kennedy. It's being played on the Swans' terms, but that was just a bit of a rush.
It was. He picked the one West Coast defender back when there were plenty of Sydney options.
Cripps is able to create here with Darling. He's got Kennedy working hard for him across half forward. And his kick was a little bit of a nonchalant one up for Kennedy. Keeps it alive with Hearn. He's a penetrating kick, not really to the advantage of Lacroix. And Nick Smith leads him to the footy and then leads him out. Jetta, good combat the other way from Cunningham. But it's back for Hearn, and there's a smother. And there was Mills, who's just acquitted himself so well, slotted into this team. Doesn't look at all like a 19-year-old playing his 5th game of AFL footy. So Sydney still 9-12. West Coast remain at 7-3. Marston. And now Shuey. Lacroix and Smith again. Richards on hand. Mills goes to ground, which could make you nervous, but knew what he was doing. Grundy. Hearn, a hard man to get past. Swans have got plenty of numbers there, though. You can see what that's produced. Jack servicing McLean. Hewitt now, he's got position and he marks it.
What a great kick from Ben McLean, because McGovern looked to have all sorts of avenues cut off. They couldn't lead up, and he looked like he was only a metre or two off Hewitt going back, but the weighted kick from McGlynn was perfect. And this is a critical kick to open up real scoreboard pressure on West Coast.
Played the first 3 games, was left out last week, went back to the Neefel, had 28 disposals and 5 inside 50s. Let's see if he can kick a goal from that spot. He's kicked 2 goals, 3 from those 3 games, so he can do it. And he's done it again. Great moment for George Hewitt as they now extend the lead to 27. Big names trying to get involved for West Coast again. And he's laying a big tackle. That's what Nick Natanui is able to do. Darling comes right into focus as well, but the Swans countering.
More dangerous.
Not the best handball. Back for Shuey. Prepared to use the left boot, get it to centre half forward. Cripps well handled at ground level. Kennedy wasn't in the right spot for where the ball was headed. It wasn't his fault. And now they're on the way out again. Rampy. Let's kick that to the boundary line.
Strange kick.
They've appealed for deliberate. And they're going to get it.
Oh. Now, that's not the intent of the kick.
You didn't think?
No, but they're obviously instructed, the umpires, and I understand that. That if there's no teammate near the kick,
now looks, it just goes over, Jason. They're going to pay because that was just a bad kick. That's all it was.
Kennedy, and he starts it. Richards is the man that connects the centre half forward. What a collect on the half volley.
Smart.
Yep, just waited because there's nothing inside 50 for him. No prominent targets, but he's back there now. And that will make them nervous. Heaney's also a longer option. The pocket instead for Sinclair. Got hands to it.
He's trying to claim it.
I've got it outside.
Natanui over the top. Follow-up was great by Tippett. Mitchell tried to fight the world and then was probably a bit lucky. Maybe the ball slipped out.
So they'll try and lock the ball in here, Sydney. They've got everyone in the forward half of the ground.
Frittis. Kennedy.
Every stoppage here is like gold to the Swans.
Yeah,
it just keeps chewing time off the clock. You can't get hurt when you've got the ball and you're attacking 50.
Frittis. Mitchell fires out another handball. Lloyd to full forward. McGlynn. Oh, caught one play on. Schofield. As deliberate as you like, but there's pressure there.
Natanui going down the middle. It looks like Hearn's waiting for him.
Oh, Teddy Richards! What a day he's had off to Franklin. That is a monstrous kick from Buddy. That's a behind.
She made the distance. Kicked that from well inside the square. Look at Teddy Richards with the sit. That's a beauty.
That's number 6 for contested marks for Teddy Richards today.
He's got so much confidence right now. He can take everything. Cripps gets a little break for the West Coast. Looks into the 50. It wasn't a lot for him there. Darling. Nick Smith back with the flight. Darling keeps his feet, but it's a behind only.
He's taken hangers. He's kicked the goal and was able to run back and just get celebration. Big celebration with his teammates. That's a big jump.
The beautiful push off and then just laid back horizontal.
Sinclair has to back. He did well. Got to the front of the pack. Lloyd's handball misses the mark. Jeddah as they try again. And Gaff inside the 50. Will he go back and have the shot? No, he's got a teammate in a better spot, and that's Shepherd.
Even there you can see Shepherd time conscious. He jogged back from the mark.
Yep. Go down the other end. If Sydney's in this position, they're watching the scoreboard, letting that shot clock go right down.
So Brad Shepherd Hasn't kicked a goal so far this year. Spends so much of his time in defence. Shake of the head. Frustrating time for the West Coast Eagles. Only 7 goals for the day.
Yeah, they've actually had twice as many scoring shots as Swans. There's 24 scoring shots in 12. That's quite a dominant disparity.
Good mark. Robinson. Andy Robinson at half-back. Second mark of the day. Happy to swing it across defence to Nick Smith.
He can go straight back to Cunningham over the other side if he wants.
And he was going to, and he will. Guinness might be able to intercept here. Get it back on West Coast terms. Darling. Oh, he's darting everywhere. What's the best option? Screws it back to the square. That's for Grundy's favour. Although Hill arrived on the scene and it could have fallen for him.
He got that all wrong, Nick Smith, didn't he? The moment he hesitated, he lost the opportunity to make that kick to Cunningham. And then when he went back there, he was closed down.
Adenui takes the grab for West Coast.
I'm sure why you do that defensively coming out. Kick it to Nick Natanui. Go the other side.
And McGovern was the other one there. Darling and Kennedy.
Well done, Mills. Oh, now he's called play on. She's had a quiet day, Sinclair. He was outmarked by Natanui a moment ago. This time, McGovern. Just the 4 possessions for Sinclair.
Play on.
They'll land this at the top of the square. And Mills claimed the mark.
Got it.
I think a couple of the Eagles got bits of that.
Now, he shouldn't have any trouble from here, so close to the goals.
He's passed it instead.
I was going to say, but with the 10-metre protected rule, I mean, he could have walked out and done it very, very easily from just a few metres out.
Lewis Jenner over 100 games for Sydney.
Crowd talking to him, Hutto.
Yep. Had the calf injury.
Wouldn't want to shank it.
Definitely wouldn't want to shank it.
No. You just want to dig a hole now.
West Coast fans are not going to be happy with you.
Kieran Jack just told him about it.
Yep.
Mills. Tippett. Robinson shovel it out. Parker. Next one from Jack to Mitchell, who handled it well under severe stress. Shepherd tries to counter, does successfully. Yo hasn't been a big factor as the game's worn on. Jack again back to Cunningham. Just Sydney players everywhere, all to get involved. Lloyd back to the wing, well handled by Hearn. Hard man to get past. Angles the kick into the middle.
Gee, that's
fumble from Marston. Gaff.
Great tackle.
Swing and a miss. It was Jack with a tackle. And now Franklin. Got Kennedy and Mitchell pushing wide for the pokey kick.
They've got options. They've just got to think their way through it. There's loose players everywhere.
Sinclair, the longest of those options. Hearn comes at him. Sinclair again.
It's a goal.
It is.
Papley again.
Papley, Tommy boy, puts it through.
Edge of a teammate, get on the scoreboard himself.
He started the ball beautifully and has been pretty consistent throughout the course of the match. Now he gets his 2nd goal on the board.
That's what you like from a young player. When the heat's in the game really early, first quarter, he was one of the ones that was standing up for the Swans.
Jetta holding off and now releases for Darling. Got optimum position, went to ground. Mark not paid. Now they try and close it up. Cripps feeling the heat and the intensity of the tackling, which has been brilliant by the Swans. Kennedy the same. Darling tries to just bulldoze his way through. Yo. Ball under the nose. Now out from Mills. McGovern, what a marking force he is. Welling, I'm not sure he's expecting it. Scraps it inside 50. Well done by Sinclair. Got his body in the right spot and takes the mark.
We spoke about Sinclair, who kicked a goal early in the match, got off to a decent start. But since then, very quiet. This is just his 5th possession, and Lewis Jetta, the other one playing against his old side, just the 12 possessions and just missed a very easy shot for goal. So neither of them has had much of a day.
Back to the wing. The Swans outnumber them again. Advance. No.
I think Isaac Heaney's saying I never had possession in the first place.
Good kick.
It's coming back to Liam Duggan.
Liam Duggan's got to run back about 50 metres to take this.
Did he ever have possession?
I reckon it was Butler who had the tackle.
He only had it in one hand briefly, didn't he? And John Longmire, I can't believe it. Oh, no!
I think we might see that again in some highlights clips through the year. Oh, Grundy takes the mark.
Grundy and Richards have been very good today.
Mark number 7 for Heath Grundy.
Move it on now. Play on.
Well, they continue to be the rock, don't they? That back 6 for the Swans. Plenty of questions about them, about their ball use, but
Play on.
what a firm they are with Richards and Grundy and Smith and Rampy. There is Grundy. Kicked 3 goals in his first game of AFL footy. Looked like he was going to be a third forward.
Too easy. Out-bodying a big fella.
He's on target for his 200th game later this season, Heath Grundy. Here's Jetta and that renowned pace. Sends him inside. Hill skirting past was that man Kennedy. Got through to Cripps. Darling. Encounter from Lloyd. From half-back, can they start some run? Mitchell sneaks in for the give. And now the procession through the middle for Franklin. Let's have a look what Buddy's got. He goes for a handball back into the crowd. That wasn't ideal for McGlynn.
Well, the kick didn't need to go to Franklin to start with. They had 3 or 4 runners through the middle of the ground, Sydney. They could have run and carried it by hand, and they would have made sure of a shot on goal. And once Franklin got it, there was no one then ahead of him.
Yahoo thumped it out to the delight of Lloyd, whose smile grows a little more after that. Swans on target for their 7th consecutive win here at the SCG. We mentioned West Coast beat them last time. Before that, the Swans had won 8 consecutive games against the Eagles, so they had been a dominant team against West Coast. And it's returned to order today. And they're hungry for more. Hewitt with the mark.
Looked lively, particularly in the second half.
Heaney's deep. Shepherd knew where it was coming. Shuey runs straight into Franklin and looks worse for wear. Some tired boys out.
It's been interesting with Nick Nui today. Look, he's had his 7 hits to advantage to West Coast, but he's also had 9 sharks direct off his hand from Sydney. So the work that they've put into making sure that they try and nullify him getting it to his own teammates has been very good.
McLean. 38 points.
Yeah, it's turned into a big margin, hasn't it? They've just worked Sydney over relentlessly since quarter time. Big one down the middle coming from Hearn, you'd expect.
Moving on now. Play on.
Scored a goal for over a quarter.
Only fools us. They're all set up down there.
Thanks, Josh. Right on it now.
Trying to show urgency for the West Coast. Marston had plenty of the footy today, returning to form numbers-wise, 27th disposal. Wellingham, they're going backwards though. Gaff, Hearn changes that. Richards. Grundy, Smith.
Play on!
Gaff controls it. Redden still finding his way and his role, I think, in this West Coast team, Jack Redden. In terms of numbers, not the same sort of numbers he was able to put up for Brisbane. And Cripps clearly not confident he can kick the goal. Looking to handball, instead just a hokey-pokey little pass intercepted by Jack.
That's to nobody.
Kicked it out to Tumbleweeds. Butler. All the way back for McKenzie. Marston. And now Kennedy comes up to take the mark. Another one smothered. Can't take a trick at the moment, the West Coast.
Ted Richards. Ted Richards high.
It's all happening for Teddy. He did get a little poke in the eye. And here he is, Teddy Richards. I wonder how many Brownlow votes he's received in the past, John. We'll have to check that out.
We will.
Could be in the frame today. Hanbury, and here's Buddy. Oh, was that high? Franklin with 18 disposals now.
Yeah, he's had 6 shots at goal as well, Buddy.
He needs 2 more goals to keep his 4 goals a game going.
He's looking for a hand pass here.
There we go, give it.
Come out.
Hewitt thinking about it. Sets it up instead. Tippett.
Yes.
Oh, he dropped it.
Nick Smith. He might be able to kick a goal too. Heaney, Hearn. He's done a power of work back there.
Play on.
They're on the way out. That supporter hasn't quite.
Hasn't, no.
Nothing.
He's giving some good feedback, that supporter.
Thanks, Dave. You again.
Yo.
Mills and Lacroix going out at the moment. Mills defensively not letting Lacroix get back. It's good defensive work from Mills, actually putting body on as Lacroix is trying to get back. Lacroix getting a little bit frustrated with it.
And that's not easy for a young player to do to an experienced star of the competition. You know, someone that's been a very, very high-level player for a long time in Lacroix.
Oh, Butler just able to hold firm, takes the mark. And will line them up.
I reckon Lloyd made a good decision then.
Yes.
If he had kept going, he would have cleaned Butler up and it would have been a 50.
Come on, Elliot. Thank you.
He's heading towards 150 games, Sam Butler. It's been a long journey for him. Last remaining premiership player from 2006.
Desperate to give this off to someone.
16 goals, 22. Well, it doesn't give you a huge amount of confidence. It's a long way out. And he realised that. To the top of the square.
Touch, play on.
They fight amongst themselves a bit. Natanui. Richards. And the ball up.
Easy, straight up. Thanks, Ted. Back this way.
Hurried kick from Richards, who has 7 Brownlow votes in his career of 257 games.
He could be in them today.
Yeah.
I reckon he's been one of the best few players out in the ground.
Hearn. It was a monstrous kick.
Touch, play
He
on.
almost gets through.
Play on.
Hill. Robinson over the ball. Prittis. His 26 disposal. Could have gone anywhere. Shuey and Buddy in the tangle. Wellingham. They're getting a lot of the footy at the moment, West Coast, but not much is happening with it. Yo.
It's been that frontal pressure that's really been pressure from Sydney. Look, and then they get outnumbered around the contest. They've been able to close West Coast up and then get run and drive from their midfielders. Really impressive once again from the Swans as a collective 22.
There wasn't a lot on for Hewitt. He was keen to go forward, but it was hard yards. And we're going to have a ball up. 3.5 minutes remaining.
Straight back.
This is going to be a fine victory for the Sydney Swans.
Good work by the ump, just helping Kennedy up there.
Play on.
Franklin for number 3. Oh, he hits the post.
Flush.
2 goals, 5.
Scored 143 goals in 43 games, Buddy, for Sydney. Scored 140 for the Hawks in his last 43. So pretty similar sort of numbers. That was before today. And it's over the line and out of bounds.
Got to see Shannon Hearn at some stage unleash a barrel from the goal square. He had Nick Natanui in the centre circle waiting for a long bomb. I reckon he was tempted. I'd love to see him really let loose.
He should have launched when he had a set shot before from 55.
Hopefully we've got one more highlight in this game. Maybe a little bit of Buddy magic.
Yeah, players are pretty spent, aren't they, Hutto? So we hope something magical might happen if Sydney can keep pushing this ball forward.
John Longmire, John Blakey on the left. I reckon they'd be pretty satisfied with the afternoon's work.
No doubt. Been a great start for the season. They went down to Adelaide last week, but I wouldn't have lost too many friends. It was a fantastic game of footy.
I reckon there won't be that many teams that go to the Adelaide Oval and beat the Crows.
No.
A fumble from Redden. Tackle came from Mills. Prittis doing his best.
Oh, good contest.
Oh, and Hanbury's hurt.
Yeah, I think he is.
Let's hope he's okay. Grimace in pain.
He's okay.
He's all right. He's a tough unit, isn't
But
he?
I love the way both players protected themselves going
Turn
for that
side
ball.
on.
They turned side on. Both cracked it at the contest, but both now standing up from that contest, ready to go again.
Down to 2:35. Robinson took it and then was taken.
It's a good point you make, Jono, because the players can go a long way towards alleviating any issues by both getting their heads out of the way.
Protect your head.
Yep.
But still have a fierce go at the ball.
Yeah, really like that.
Kennedy. Really a polite appeal for deliberate from a few of the West Coast players. Nothing doing from the umpire. He's
Look at that. He just
10 this
gets him
quarter.
over the line. Look at Hanbury as well. 18 between them, the two key midfielders for the Swans. No midfielders for West Coast in the top 5 this last quarter.
He just copped one Hanbury off the side of the pack.
And that hurts, that one.
Free kick going to Parker. There's no hiding the pain there from
No.
Hanbury.
I mean, friendly fire, was it?
McGovern. They have gone to a standstill
Here we
here.
go.
Except Buddy. Tippett and Schofield. And I reckon that's on the foot.
Yeah, I reckon
Great running, Connors.
Dan Hanbury copped a bit of friendly fire from Luke Parker before. Watch the hand
there
of
it is,
Parker
yeah.
come around and
Finger
just
in the
poke
eye.
in the eye.
Schofield back to half back. Kennedy hasn't really been his day. Tough for the West Coast forwards. Swans defence have been outstanding. Kennedy 2 goals. It's their only multiple goal kicker. He's had 17 disposals. Josh Kennedy from West Coast as we continue to watch the pain of Dan Hanbury. Parker shows a clean pair of heels for the Swans.
Touch, play on.
Fell nicely for Heaney. Off the outside of the boot, set up for Jack.
Out behind.
Franklin one out, wants it long. That's in his direction.
In the general direction, and didn't get the bounce he was after. McGovern was onto it. Back goes McKenzie. Now Hearn. He's tried his heart out all day. Kick was set up for that man, Josh Kennedy. We're inside the last minute at the SCG.
He hits that kick so well, Shannon Hearn.
Flicks out the handball to Gaff. And players can barely move right now. Elliot Yeo.
Square, Tom.
There's not a lot of running going on. Schofield's still got some energy.
Play on.
I reckon Teddy's full of it too. He is full of energy.
He is
He's had a
absolutely
day out, Teddy.
Killed him, Hutto. He has been the dominant player on the ground for me. Kicking goals. He's taken hangers. He's had 7 contested marks. Defensively been brilliant.
I think only Kenny's had a better day than him.
Yes.
Tippett shows his leaping ability. Can't take the mark. The Eagles continue to rack up some numbers, but it's not going to mean too much late in the game. Mark not paid. A couple of seconds away from the siren. The triumphant Sydney Swans do it again at home at the SCG. Protect their territory. They're going to be hard to beat up here, and they could be hard to beat anywhere this year. Another victory for the Swans. That's 4 out of 5. They get the job done against the West Coast by 39 points.
Great display from Sydney. They were challenged at certain times, but as a midfield group, once again, they were able to push to contest after contest, create great body pressure around the contest. They were clean on the ground in these trying conditions, wet conditions, and they just worked West Coast over in the, especially the second half of this game. That's a big victory for Sydney.
Yeah, disappointing West Coast's final term. They went goalless in that fourth quarter when you thought they might be able to fashion some sort of run at the Swans. But take nothing away from the Swans. This is super impressive. But West Coast had the best of things in the first term, but then the next three quarters was owned by the Swans.
Well, we like to get the big names when we do the post-match interviews. You know, the goal kickers, the stars, the big high markers. So let's get down to Moons.
Oh, down here with Teddy Richards. Teddy, a fantastic fight back from last week from you guys, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's a really intense pressure game last week, and we thought it'd be a good lead-in because we saw what West Coast have been on all year, especially last week. So once again, the intensity was up.
After that first quarter, it looked like they started the game extremely well. They got the crowd out of it. That second quarter, you guys really beat them up around the ball. Defensively, you guys were excellent today.
Well, yeah, it's probably a bit of a weird game because the conditions are coming in and out of the game. Sometimes it's wet, sometimes you could play clean, free-flowing football. So, yeah, there were shifts in momentum throughout the game, and when they were able to kick a couple of consecutive goals, we were able to get one back.
Haven't seen too many Sydney sides over the years, particularly when your time being here. You got some really good young stars coming through, and Papley today was excellent.
Yeah. I guess at the start of the year, a lot of question marks about our depth. So for these young guys that probably aren't heard of at the start of the year to come in and make the impact that they have, you know, got George Stewart as well, who's coming to the team this week. It's exciting to see.
I reckon you would have been about 12 the last time you kicked a goal and took mark of the day.
Oh, the last time I kicked a goal, I was in New Zealand playing the Saints. Yeah, that's how long ago it was.
Congratulations, mate. Well done.
Thanks, Cam.
All right, let's have a look at the next four for the Sydney Swans.
So they're rolling along in good fashion with 4-1 record. They'll be heavily favoured to beat Brisbane, heavily favoured to beat Essendon. They'll be favoured to beat the Tigers, and then they have troubled the Hawks at different stages. So this is a team that is really building a good season.
Just the one loss so far today. It was all about the win. A 39-point victory at the SCG to Sabre. Well, gloomy conditions today at the SCG. There was a bit of wind, there was plenty of rain at times, but Sydney were the masters when it mattered. 12-16-88 to 7-7-49 final scoreline. West Coast did it in two bursts, one in the first quarter and one in the third, but Sydney, when you look at some of the raw numbers, boys, were dominant.
Oh, look, I thought they were very, very impressive after the quarter-time break, basically. But West Coast got a really good start to this game, and it looked like we might be in for a titanic struggle, but they upped the ante. They found another gear, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. To keep them goalless in that last quarter, the Sydney Swans, brilliant effort against one of the highest scoring teams in the competition.
So a big day as this Anzac weekend of footy continues, and it's the Swans on their score chart. 4 wins from 5 games, a 39-point victory at the SCG.